All right, Shalom. First and foremost, all praises unto Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. And this is going to be part two to the response of the faithful servants of Christ about the topic of hell, the lake of fire, and the underworld. Okay, and lift off going over his first point about where he said, and this is his own words, not mine. He said the wicked are burning in hell right now. And we clearly disproven that in the scriptures with Job, the third chapter. But now we're going to go on to his second point. He said, the lake of fire, the final destination of the wicked and Satan. Now, I asked him, my official comment was the lake of fire. Okay, I asked him a question, what is the lake of fire? He responds and says, the lake of fire and hell are two different places. Okay, good. But wait a second. That don't even make sense. I thought according to the Christian church that hell is the lake of fire. That don't make any sense. Hell is a holding tank underneath us, but the lake of fire is a separate place. Well, hell is not a holding tank underneath us. Hell doesn't exist. Hell is the grave and a condition played out on the earth. The wicked rest in the spiritual world, as I proven in the previous video. Okay? The lake of fire in the book of Revelation is talking about the downfall of America, okay, or Babylon the Great, which you claim is the Vatican, which is preposterous. But, hey, you believe what you want. The scriptures say, for many have deceived themselves by their own vain fault and opinion. But the scriptures say, let every man be fully persuaded in his own mind, so you believe what you want. But the point of the matter is, if we're going to get the scriptures, I have a question for you. All right, which this isn't necessarily directed towards you yourself, because you said that hell and the lake of fire are not the same thing. Okay, so hey, you're 1 point ahead of most Christians, and that's good. That's good. But just in case there's an average Christian watching, which it probably is, I want to show you something real quick. Revelation 20:14, it says, "And death and hell were cast into the lake of fire." This is the second death. Now, even with this brother saying the lake of fire and hell are not the same thing, well, how can you pick up a physical location, right? Hell, because you said that hell is a physical location underneath the world. Which, wait a second, if the world's that big, depending on whether you subscribe to a flat earth like I myself do, or you subscribe to a ball earth, that doesn't matter what one you believe. Okay, well, if you believe it's flat, well, wait a second, doesn't that mean that hell basically expands underneath the whole earth? But if you believe it's a ball, you pretty much, are you saying it's like in the center of the earth? That's what I would believe you're probably saying. Okay? So I'll just go with that. I'll go with that. So here it is, you have this hell underneath the world, right? But you're saying that hell is going to be thrown into the lake of fire because they're two separate places. Well, how can you pick up hell itself, right? A physical place on earth, pick it up and throw it into another physical place on earth? How can you do it? It's not possible to do. All right? And he's going to argue and say, well, with the Most High, all things are possible. Okay, good argument. With that being said, it's just not logical to think that one place can be thrown, picked up literally off the world, right? Or in this case, inside of the world, and thrown into another place in the world. That doesn't make logical sense. Okay? So we'll go ahead and read some more of his comment. And then we'll get some of what's the lake of fire is. Okay? The lake of fire, the final destination of the wicked and Satan. And then he goes into the bottomless pit, but that's going to be good. We'll address that in just a couple minutes. Let's go ahead and read some of the lake of fire. I believe, what is that, Revelation 20th chapter? I mean the 19th chapter. Okay, let's start off above. I always like to start at the 9th verse. It's all good, but for edification, I'm going to start at verse 9. I'm going to read all the way to verse 21. Okay, so if you need it slower, you can always turn down the speed that I read at the top right corner and listen to it slower or faster. Revelation chapter 19 and 9. And he said unto me, right, blessed are they which are called unto the marriage and the supper of the Lamb. And he says unto me, these are the true sayings of Yahweh, and I fell at his feet to worship him. And he said unto me, See thou do it not. I am thy fellow servant, and of thy brethren, which have the testimony of Yahushai, and worship for the testimony of Yahushai is the spirit of prophecy. Now remember, this has taken place after the destruction of Babylon the Great. Okay, remember that. And I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse, and him that sat on him was called Faithful and True. And in righteousness he does judge and make war. And his eyes were as a flame of fire. It goes back to, because Jesus drank a lot of wine. What is that? Isaiah the 63rd chapter. Okay, Jesus will be considered to be a drunk man. Go read it. Go read it before you make your response. What is that? Genesis 49:12. For his eyes they shall be red with wine, and his teeth white with milk. Okay? And he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood, and his name was called the Word of Yahweh. And the armies which were in heaven, they followed him upon white horses, clothed in fine linen, white and clean. And out of his mouth goes a sharp sword, that with it he shall smite the nations. And he shall rule them, he shall rule the nations with a rod of iron. And he treadeth the winepress of the fierceness and the wrath of Almighty God. Once again, goes back to Isaiah the 63rd chapter. And he had on his vesture, on his thigh, a name written, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. And I saw an angel standing in the sun, and he cried with a loud voice, saying to all the fowls that fly in the midst of heaven, Come and gather yourselves together unto the supper of the great God, that ye may eat the flesh of kings and the flesh of captains. Right, so what's happening here? This is talking about, which as I said, man, I can't wait to see this brother's response to this. Because you can tell, man, which no offense towards that brother, but you can tell that he, you know what I'm saying, But as I said, though, I respect this brother. I think he truly is sincere. But anyway, the flesh of mighty men, and of the flesh of horses, and of them that sit on them, and the flesh of all men, both free and bond, small and great. And I saw the beast. Now, wait a second. I thought this brother said, which you're going to see it in just a second here, that the false prophet is still alive. Okay, it says the beast and the false prophet were thrown alive into a lake that burns with fire. Now, my question to you is, you said that the false prophet is the Catholic Church, right? Or Pope Francis, you said, but basically Pope Francis is over the Catholic Church. They're pretty much one and the same, right? So you agree to that, but then you say they're Babylon. So this is after the destruction of Babylon right here. Listen, faithful servant of Christ, I want you to answer this right here. And make sure you play this part in your video so people can hear what I'm saying. If this is happening after the destruction of Babylon that we previously read about in the chapter before this, how is the false prophet still alive if the false prophet is the Catholic Church? But yet Babylon was already destroyed. All right? And I saw the beast and their kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war with him that sat on the horse and his army. And the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet who brought miracles before him, which with he deceived them that had received the mark of the beast. Oh, and that's another question. All right, what is the 666 mark of the beast in Revelation, the 13th chapter? That's a real question. What is it? Okay. And them that worship his image, these both were cast alive into a lake of fire, burning with brimstone. And the remnant were slain with the sword of him that sat upon the horse, which sword proceeds out of his mouth. And with all the fowls were filled with their flesh. Now the main point is, what is this lake of fire? I'm going to show you what the lake of fire is. Revelation 17 and 16. And the horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these they shall hate the whore, and they shall make her desolate and naked, and they shall eat her flesh, and they shall burn her with fire. This fire is talking about the fire that Babylon the Great, which is America, is going to be turned into. Okay? And there's another thing I want to get real quick. I'm trying to bring in mind where that is. Bear with me. I just had it on the tip of my tongue. Now I'm trying to remember. Okay. Let's see. I want to show you something here. Which, ironically enough, this is on the same page. It speaks about the bottomless pit. All right. Let's see. Revelation chapter 9 and verse 15. And the four angels which were loosed, they were prepared for an hour and a day and a month and a year, for to slay the third part of men. And the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000, and they heard the number of them, unless they saw the horses in the vision, and them that sat on them, having breastplates of fire and of jacinth and brimstone. And the heads of the horses were as the heads of a lion, and out of their mouths issued fire, smoke, and brimstone. By these three was the third part of man killed, by the fire, by the smoke, and by the brimstone, which issued out of their mouths. For their power is in their mouth and in their tails, for their tails were like unto serpents, and they had heads, and with them they do hurt. These horses are talking about ICBM nuclear missiles, which is going to be used to destroy Babylon the Great. Anybody who disagrees, well, if we just read that the beast, which is an assembly of nations, how is a nation in this modern time going to come and put another nation on fire? Obviously, it's talking about nuclear missiles. Okay? So pretty much that lake of fire is Babylon, which is America, after it's destroyed, because it's still going to go up in flames for a very long time. So that's the lake of fire in the book of Revelation. Okay, now let's deal with the bottomless pit. Let's read what he had to say about the bottomless pit, and then let's get what the Bible says. And then it will conclude the lesson. In the first response, he said, the bottomless pit where the locusts described in Revelation are, and where Satan will be bound for 1,000 years. And then we don't got to get into that fallen angels one, because that's not supported in the scriptures at all. All right, the fallen angels who are in chains of darkness, that's talking about the sons of God, the Israelites. We are in chains of darkness, all right, because we're the real rulers of the world. But right now, we're peasants right now, man. Right now, we're just, hey, we're under those curses of Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. Okay, so those are the angels in the chains of darkness. They're talking about the Israelites. Okay, the sons of God. From, what is that, Genesis, the 6th chapter. Anyway, Revelation chapter 9. And the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. And he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose a smoke out of the pit, as the smoke of a great furnace. And the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit. Now I'm going to go relatively fast, because I only got 6 minutes before the recorder goes off, and I don't want to make another video. The smoke out of the pit is talking about a dark time in human history. This chapter, the first part of the chapter with these locusts, this is talking about the First World War. Okay? The bottomless pit is Europe, because over in Europe there is what's the word I'm looking for? Come on, what is it? They have a lack of resources over in that land. Okay? And you can look it up. There's a lack of resources over in Europe. Okay, so Europe is the bottomless pit. Okay? Anyway. And there came out of the smoke upon the earth, locust upon the earth, and unto them was given power as the scorpions of the earth have power. And it was commanded them that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any tree, nor any green thing, but only those men which have not the seal of Yahweh in their foreheads. And it was given unto them that they should not kill them, but that they should be tormented 5 months. And their torment was as the torment of a scorpion when he strikes a man. Now these locusts, which I'm going to read the description to prove my point, these locusts are talking about the German World War I fighter jets. Okay? And the stings, right, as it says, their stings were like a scorpion. That's talking about those machine guns. They would have one man to pilot the craft, but then they have another man with a gun up there to shoot at the other dog fighters up there. Okay, so this is the breakdown of these locusts. These are not some demons from the underworld. No, that's a false doctrine. These are the fighter jets of the German army in the First World War. Okay, and we're gonna see as we break it down. Remember, this is a parabolic book. Now, obviously, when he's seen these things, he didn't describe it as we call them today, because he didn't know what it was. All right, this was something that would happen thousands of years after he died. Okay, it's very simple to understand. And in those days shall men seek death, and they shall not find it, and they shall desire to die, and death shall flee from them. Yeah, in that time of the First World War, they didn't have many medical procedures that they could do for people. If they were to give them any medical treatment, they'd have to give it to them without being able to numb the area and give them painkillers or any of that stuff. So yeah, men desired to die in that day. Verse 7, and the shapes of the locusts were like unto horses prepared unto battle, and on their heads were as it were crowns like gold, and their faces were as the faces of men. Yeah, crowns like gold. Look up online a German helmet, and you're going to see it looks like gold. And so I don't have to break it down later when it reads about they had the hair of woman. Out of the top of these hats, they had strands coming down, which looked like a long flowing hair. You can look it up. Um, yep, right there. And their hair was as the hair of a woman, and their teeth were as the teeth of a lion. Now, what is the teeth? The teeth is talking about, even in this modern time, a lot of people get teeth painted on the front of these airplanes, Lakia, and aircrafts. All right, but back then, this was just talking about the basically those the bullets. Okay, those bullets were the teeth. Okay, and they had breastplates of iron. Or it's like it says, and they had breastplates, as if it were breastplates of iron, and their sounds were as the Urslake, and the sound of their wings was as the sound of chariots of many horses running to battle. Yeah, now if you ever listen to audio of these, planes, or especially the military planes from 100 years ago, man, you go damn deaf if you're not wearing an ear protection around these things, man. Okay, they're nothing compared to, and ironically enough, I got to go on a plane tomorrow, man. So I can tell you from firsthand experience that these planes today, the sound is nothing compared to a plane from back then, because you have all the metal, shaking back and forth. Some of the nails might even come loose in the metal. So that's the sound that was talking about right there. We'll read it again. And they had breastplates as if it were breastplates of iron, and the sound of their wings was as the sound of chariots and many horses running to battle. And they had tails like unto scorpions, and there were stings in their tails, for their power was to hurt men 5 months. And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue have his name Apollyon. One woe is past, and behold, there comes 2 woes more hereafter. All right, now Apollyon is referring to an individual by the name of Kaiser Wilhelm, which the word Kaiser just means Caesar or emperor. Okay, but anyway, I'm pretty much done with my first response to hell and the lake of fire and the underworld. So if you see this faithful servant of Christ, make sure you do a response to this video. If that being said, whoever watched it this far, put hashtag ETT in the comment section. That being said, gonna say shalom.